Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time. This week on the Kindness Project, winter warmers, robotic diners, and we have part 2 of our interview with Nick Elston. So, take 3 of the Kindness Project, start the Kindness Project this week, because first time the washing machine was on, so I had to go and turn that off. The second time I called the washing machine the dishwasher when clearly it's a washing machine, so I had to start again.
He was too embarrassed, but now he's revealed himself anyway.
And that's the problem with embarrassment. And then before,
it all comes out eventually.
I'm having one of those days, because before the podcast, I was trying to be generous to my laptop and accidentally fed it some hot chocolate. So
I'm sure future laptops that can actually eat will be appreciative.
Sorry,
Android with food processing functions.
Why would we give a computer a food processing function? What is the point of that?
To make it more realistic.
What do you mean?
Because just to make it more realistic. I don't know. I was just thinking about lonely old people, and we give them androids that can eat dinner with them, so they don't.
Right? Why do you want an android to eat your dinner? I want to eat my dinner all of myself. I don't want to waste food on an android.
But sometimes you just don't want to eat alone, and having someone there with you, even if it's a robot and you know it's a robot, might be less lonely.
Sometimes I don't want a robot pinching me food. That's what I don't want.
Pinching your food if you give it food.
I'm not giving it food. Would it starve?
No.
Oh well, cool. It doesn't need food.
It doesn't need the glucose, but it might be able to process it.
Yeah. Listen. I'm quite happy with the way robots, as they are, not eating me dinner. So I'm going to try and avoid that. But I on a cold winter night, I actually love a hot chocolate. It's one of those drinks I don't have too often. How about you?
It's one of those drinks I have too often.
You know what? You drink quite a lot of hot chocolate, don't you?
I'm a hot chocolate and tea gal.
Yeah.
I have a favourite hot chocolate. I have a favourite tea. I also have a favourite flower now. New information, guys. I'm so psyched to have a favourite flower.
What's your favourite flower?
Dahlias.
Dahlia. Why dahlias?
Have you seen them? They're so pretty.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't really worry that much about the flowers, but yeah, as you said it, that might be good. Have you got a favourite hot chocolate?
Yeah.
What?
The Caramel Galaxy one. I've only ever had it once, but...
You're joking. There's a Caramel Galaxy hot chocolate? That sounds amazing. You know what? I've got to reveal at the end of the podcast. We are actually last week. The question of the podcast is what's your favourite chocolate? The lines, if we had lines, the email, the Facebook, the Twitter went absolutely mad. People loved telling us about what their favourite chocolate is.
Chocolate!
And maybe the what was that? Sorry, can you just repeat what you just did? You just went, chocolate!
It is now my new tasty battle cry.
Chocolate! I've just got this image of you running with your school tie around your head.
Lord of the
Flies style. Chocolate! Yeah, just running into Tesco's. Chocolate!
Oh,
Can you please?
Hot chocolates at Tesco's are really nice.
Can you please call security?
It's just one man at the door because the Tesco's close to us. It's like a little one. There's just one man close to the door, and I'll slow down on the way in, give him a curt nod and smile, and run straight away.
Yeah. Sorry, are you directly advocating shop?
No. I'll run to the chocolate, pick it up carefully, take it to the self-checkout, pay for it, stuff it in my pocket. Chocolate!
Right. See, this sums you up, right? Half rebellious, but also quite well behaved. I'm going to run in, shouting, chocolate! And then I'm going to quietly walk up to the aisle, pick up the chocolate, pay for it, and only then run out going, chocolate! Love it. Absolutely love it. Oh, God. Anyway, the question of the podcast, chocolate, isn't chocolate related. It's related to musical instruments this week, because Sophie's got a new musical instrument. My youngest daughter's got a new musical instrument. She's got a clarinet. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And clarinets, I've found, are quite noisy, but they are good fun. You used to have a saxophone.
I did not.
What did you have?
I used to have a trombone. I also used to have a flute, and I now have a ukulele.
Yeah, and we've also got a piano in the house, haven't we?
Yes.
And can we play it? Can we not play it? We haven't properly learned, apart from you and the ukulele, one particular instrument. So the question of the podcast this week is chocolate. No, sorry. The question of the podcast this week is
Have a Snickers.
is you okay? No. The question of the podcast is: can you play a musical instrument? If so, which one? And if you can't, which one would you love to play really well? So we'd like to know. Oh, the tambourine.
Couldn't you play the steel drums?
Yeah. I used to love the steel drums. You know what? I once had an opportunity to play at the Notting Hill Carnival, steel drums, and the practice was too far from home. So I was a good steel drums player and missed my chance to play at the Notting Hill Carnival.
Could have been big, mate. Screw financial advice. Steel drums. It's true calling.
Just imagine, right? Like a sliding doors moment where I could either be a financial advisor or a professional steel drum player. I mean, I don't know
Go
what's...
to the Olympics, mate.
What, was a steel drums player?
Play at the opening ceremony.
Could do. My life's not over yet, Charlotte. I'm like...
It's what you might decide to do with your retirement.
I might do in a couple of years. Professional steel drums player. I might take up steel drums in a big way. What are you going to do when you retire?
Who says I'm going to retire? I will
Steel
work
drums.
till I die.
That's what it feels like at the minute, doesn't it? Because you are in exam mode all the way up to the summer.
Today I was informed that I have 60 school days until my exams. So that's 12 school weeks, and that's 106 days until my first actual exam, which is weighing on me a bit.
Yeah. Well, I've got a similar sort of time till the actual marathon and an actual exam. So we might be, the podcast in 3 months might sound like this. Welcome to the Kindness Project. What is going on with our lives? We might need the Kindness Project actually to keep us sane. But we might have to do it while I'm out running a race. Do you know what I mean? That's the only thing.
You take the mic with you. We'll be on a conference call.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like, you got an intro.
Yeah.
Really
Can I, when I finish the marathon, can I just run across the finishing line going, chocolate? Can I do that? Do you reckon that's allowed?
I want to get that printed on a shirt for you now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, and I'm thinking as well, instead of, I might get a new set of business cards printed, all branded for the financial planning business, but just with professional steel drums player as a job title. What do you reckon?
Professional steel drums playing also included.
Yeah. The financial advice is expensive. Steel drums playing you get for nothing.
If you pay for the financial advice.
Yeah. No. We're not giving you away free steel drums unless you pay for the advice, my friend. No way. That's expensive.
We need to get you some steel drums first. Maybe that's your next birthday present.
Oh, you know what? We could set those steel drums up in the garage. We could get like 4 sets of steel. Family steel drums band. That sounds amazing.
You can have steel drums. I'll be on my uke.
Yeah.
They're both very...
We got the piano. What we need to do is learn how to play the piano better. That's what we need to do.
I mean, we
we'll see.
could start a hip opera band.
Oh, yeah. Can I be Josephine and you be the Artisans? Listeners, come on. If you don't know who Josephine and the Artisans are...
I thought it was the Artisans.
Josephine and the Artisans are. I clearly don't know who they are. Chocolate! Get some of them in their life. They are on Spotify. Their song, Invictus, combines opera and rap.
All of their songs combine opera and rap, pretty much.
But Invictus is an amazing thing. Now, before we get on with the show, shall we tell our listeners where they can get in touch with us?
Oh, yes. Twitter at Ola Kindness. Facebook, there's a search bar thingy. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before, but I found them absolutely revolutionary. So you type in the Kindness Project, and we come up. We appear in the Kindness Project. You just Google us, and it does the same thing. And
email,
yes, Ola at thekindnessproject.co.uk/chocolate. No, ignore the last part. Not /chocolate. I was being silly. Yes, I think I covered them all.
Okay, good stuff.
Ask Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves. Friends Reunited, I don't know. MySpace. So,
anybody's friends.
Now we've done that, should we get on with the show? So, in our latest segment, Happy News.
Happy news, mate.
Is that the best you can do for a jingle? Happy news, mate.
Happy news.
That sounds quite a lot like Kindness News, but less inspiring. In this week's version of Happy News, I want to tell you a little story. Cuddling can help wounds heal faster.
I knew that.
Good. Let me tell our listeners. According to research, cuddling can help heal both emotional and physical wounds. Positive social interactions, like when we hug, kiss, and cuddle. No, don't do that with strangers. Result in the increase of oxytocin, which makes us feel better. It's already known that oxytocin evokes feelings of contentment, reduction of anxiety, and feelings of calmness and security when it's associated with new mothers. But it also has a number of other functions and benefits for both men and women. It helps reduce social anxiety because when our brains release oxytocin, we're more likely to have an optimistic outlook on connecting with others and trusting those around us. Cuddling can also lower our blood pressure and heart rate, which in turn reduces the risk of heart disease. So next time you're giving a friend or loved one a hug, take a deep breath and embrace it. Do not do it with strangers.
So long story short, science says hugging good. Find a friend, squeeze them tight.
Thank you for summarising that. I didn't need to do that story. I should have just said, can you summarise hugging? Find a friend and squeeze them tight. That next bit of happy news is Trashman builds free library out of 20,000 books found in bins. 20 years ago, a trash collection man, Jose Alberto Gutierrez of Bogota, Colombia, found a copy of Leo Tolstoy's Anna Karenina in with the rubbish in one of the wealthy areas of Bogota. So he decided to rescue the book from the trash. Jose has now collected over 20,000 books that now make up his own free library in his home in the poorer area of South Bogota, which he opens to community children on weekends. Aptly named Strength of Words, the library provides local children with a host of reading resources, and Jose hopes to inspire young minds. I love that story. A free library. Do you want to summarise that one?
Bin Man collects books, gives them a home in his heart and his actual home because,
Gives them a home in his actual home. He's not... Where did the heart... But also opened his heart to the children of Bogota.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he did. Anyway, that's it for Happy News this week. So this is the part where we interview somebody really amazing, and this week we've got the second part of an amazing interview with a guy called Nick Elston. Nick talks about anxiety to audiences all over the UK and all over the world. We all go through our own mental health challenges, and Nick shares some stuff that might be useful to help you cope if you're going through mental health challenges currently, and that's why we wanted him on board. So he talks about that, and also he answers some of our famous questions of the podcast. So do you think, and going back to that authenticity thing, do you think one of the things that helps you reduce your own personal anxiety is just being more open and more honest? And do you think that's potentially a technique that other people could use?
It's something that I call the disarming truth is that I tell people exactly what's on my mind.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's not in me causing me. And you saw me do this at the conference. Actually, at the conference, because it was my first kind of financial well-being event, I was in my mind, I was thinking like, this is going to sit, and all these kind of things go through our head. And within 3 minutes, like I said, but the first thing I said when I stood up was, I'm anxious right now.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't be? I'm just about to bare my soul to a room full of financial services people. But actually, the process of me telling people that put me at ease immediately, and it actually made people know that it's going to be a genuine talk.
Yeah, because it's out there, isn't it? It's just out there.
It is. But that's the thing. Again, it's another conditioning thing that we fight against. That our natural response in that situation would be to just talk faster, which we run out of breath, then get more anxious. And actually, we take that step back and we tell the truth, and actually, suddenly, the pressure's off.
Yeah.
And whether I'm speaking in front of 20,000 people or 20 people, I still get the same. It's like 2 minutes, 38 seconds of anxiety, then I find my flow. Always the same. Because we create anxiety in the thought of doing something, but not the doing it. When we're actually doing it, we're fine.
Yeah, you're in flow, aren't you?
It's the thought of doing it.
Yeah. You know what? You made me think now, because the amount of times when potentially over the years somebody's asked me how I am, and I've turned around and gone, I'm good, or I'm doing all right, when I might not have been. And I reckon I've probably done that hundreds of times over the years. If I'm being honest with myself, I reckon I've done that a lot more than I can remember today.
It's possible, isn't it? It's like you kind of, how are you? Yeah, great, thanks. How are you? Kind of thing. Actually, say you're rubbish. It freaks people out. It's my chronic. It's great. It's funny. But it's a good film for people who want it. You don't want it in your life. So.
How are you? Absolutely shit today, to be honest.
Yeah, why not? I'll just say it, yeah. But the thing is actually that what you'll find is if there's people that actually know you and want to support you, you tell them that, they'll support you.
Yeah.
If you don't tell them what's going on, they're not able to support you.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I still, and again, this podcast is about kindness. So we talk to people who are good all the time. But most people, I believe, are genuinely good, kind, nice people if given the chance. You know, we've all got our stuff that gets in the way. So I think sometimes just those barriers are under the assumption that people aren't going to react in a positive way. But I think most people do, right? So help me understand what you do to maintain your own positive mental health and what you talk about in your speeches to help other people maintain a positive mental health.
Sure. So I think for me, the first major thing is recovery. If I've had a busy time, I need to schedule a lot of recovery. I travel by train and plane a lot because actually it gives me some time to do that in, as opposed to like driving or something like that. So recovery is important. Now, the thing that people get wrong about recovery is this: is actually I'm an introvert. So given the job that I do, I'm always out of my comfort zone, and therefore I need to recover more. Yeah. An introvert recharges in their own company. That's a true definition. Yeah. An extrovert recharges in the company of others. So actually, if you're an extrovert, IFA, working in your office all day on your own in your bedroom, for example, that's going to really cripple you. You need to go out and be around people. Whereas with me, when I'm around people, that's when my energy starts to go, to decline, because I'm giving everything I've got. Gotcha. And when I come away, I ring fence my own time. Yeah. So that's the first thing I do. I think that the biggest kind of conditioning hack is to never assume anything. I think, and that happens a lot. What happens with speaking, actually, and the question I get asked the most is, what do you do when you get heckled? I've spoken at thousands of events and never been heckled once. Yeah. But the thought of it means that we think as soon as we step up once, we're going to get heckled. Yeah. So the way around that is I use journaling quite a lot. I write down. I know you can. There's an argument to say you can do it for everything, and that's great if you can, but I don't need to do that, I feel. I need to keep a journal of all the stuff that has troubled me. Okay. So I write down everything that's made me anxious or stressed or anything like that. And I'm always making notes to go back like 2 weeks later and check and see if what's actually happened. Again, it's that continual process of proving yourself wrong, finding conditioning. Yeah. On day one when I did this, welcome to GAD, I had 128 entries. Right. And of those 128 things, none of them happened. I think Mark Twain says some of the worst things in my life never actually happened.
Yeah.
But based on what I said just now, when we think anxiety, we damage ourselves with anxiety without that thing even happening.
Yeah.
So we're carrying around thousands of things every week that are not going to happen.
Yeah.
It could be assumed kind of outcomes to conversations or pursuits, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
So it's what I call reality checks. I use something called brain hacks. Brain hacks are great.
Okay.
Basically, it's all about breaking your conditioning to the way that you want it to be.
Sure. I know you told that story at the conference, and I really enjoyed your explanation of just saying, right, let's revisit those 128 things, and when you realise consistently that the stuff you're worrying about never happens, it starts to re-engineer your brain. It's a really interesting one. Have you ever had anything on that list actually happen?
Very rarely, but I think then again you've got that kind of thing like confirmation bias kicking in. Our negative mindset is looking for proof that we're going to be right, and actually if we find it once, we'll find it everywhere. So, but rarely, to be honest, rarely does anything I'm genuinely anxious about. The stuff that tends to get me, the stuff I don't anticipate. It's the stuff that blindsides me. Yeah. It's like when Tula, my dog, fell ill. It's when, I don't know, when I was in hospital last year. Just all the stuff that you can never kind of anticipate or assume. That's the stuff that gets you.
So
not the stuff that we foresee.
So Nick, I've just got two questions on that, both that involve the travelling you do. So number one, you're sitting on a train or a plane, and somebody starts a conversation. Does that then sort of break your recovery to a certain extent because you want that alone time?
Yeah, I'm not a great social person when I'm travelling.
Yeah.
What I tend to do is I've usually got my AirPods in. I'm listening to some music. I'm doing very kind of introvert things, and most people don't tend to interrupt somebody and they've got headphones on and everything to what on their mind.
Mate, that's pretty rude if somebody asks you to take your headphones out to have a chat. How dare you? And just
time somebody tests that, Chris, I'll let you know. I'll come back on.
Yeah, exactly. If I ever see you with your headphones in, Nick, I promise I won't interrupt. And number two, who looks after the dog when you're away? Because we do a decent amount of travelling, and I'm sure we found a really decent dog sitter. But who has the dog?
So my dog, my wife she's an HR manager for a company, but the company's based very locally.
Right, okay.
Kind of that home. Or we do have a dog sitter as well, Emma. But so the problem with Tula is my dog is that she needs medication at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m.
Okay.
So she is definitely a consideration. So most holidays we take, she comes with us.
Yeah.
She's basically like our little fur baby, really. So. But it is definitely it's a consideration. Yeah, definitely. She features in most of my talks anyway, as you know. So.
Yeah, and I love it. I know you speak very authentically, as we've said. Do you find when people come up to you at the end, and to be honest, Nick, I've got to give you a massive apology because I loved your talk so much. I just came up and gave you a cuddle, which must have been the weirdest experience in the world. So,
mate, I love that.
So apologies for that, mate.
I love hugs. You're good.
Yeah, all right. I didn't want to infringe on your personal space. Just give it in. But you are quite cuddly, so I quite enjoyed it as well. Yeah.
Oh, you get good hugs too.
Thank you, mate. But what do you find most people identifying with and sharing their own experiences about?
So most people, the reason why actually it becomes more than mental health, it becomes very much more about personal development and inspiration, is because people have lost the knowledge that actually their happiness is in their own hands, it is in their control.
Yeah.
We surrender that very, very easily, and we give ourselves reasons why that's the case. The second most popular kind of question, I guess, is how do I help my husband, wife, brother, whatever they may be, the people that are closest to us. And the sad truth is you can. The closer you are to people, the harder it is to help them.
Yeah.
They see you as a different role in life. They see you as a husband or a wife or a father, or whatever that may be. And even myself. So, I mean, given I talk about what I talk about, people that are close to me, I can't help. And they know I can't help because they see me as something else. They see me as, I don't know, Uncle Nick or brother or that kind of stuff. So that's why I believe that the real power is in active signposting. The reason why I think the same in the business community, the reason why we keep people with mental health challenges, mental illness challenges at an arm's length is because we feel the need to fix people. We don't have to fix anyone. If people want to be fixed, they'll go to a professional. They just want to be heard. I think we've got a responsibility to get very good at actively signposting, to get very familiar with signposting. Some of the Time to Change Mental Health Champion, a signpost to Mind and Mental Health UK, back into the initiatives being laid on by the organisations I work with. So lots of different things I actively signpost to because that's my responsibility. My responsibility is not to fix everybody. As a natural empathic person, I struggled with that originally because I basically took everybody's problems on when they were sharing at the end of the session.
Sure. But it's interesting because I was going to ask you a question saying if you had a friend who was suffering from anxiety, what would you recommend somebody to do? And I suppose, as you say, the natural reaction is to try and help, but potentially the first step to any of this is just being there to listen.
Yeah, is to listen, is to signpost, but also to generate something conversationally. So a lot of people that will go to my talks, I say the best way for you to tackle this is not to say to somebody close to you, say you've got a problem. It's to say, give them the handout that I give out at all my talks. To say, look, I saw this guy speak today. Have a read of that. What do you think? And actually, you're not making it about them. And actually, they may not read it yet, but in their own time, they'll read it. It's the same with kind of books. If you've got kind of kids that are struggling with anxiety, there's a book by Dr. Steve Peters called My Inner Chimp, which is an illustrated version of how emotions are felt and delivered and sometimes struggling with and that kind of stuff. He's the author of The Chimp Paradox, which was hugely
love that book.
Kind of developments.
Yeah, I love that book. That book started me on a path of having a bit of an amateur sort of psychology interest. It's an amazing start, and there's so many good and the fact that it's all evidence based and just takes you down the path of learning so much about how the brain works. It's absolutely amazing. Tell me a story about how your speaking and coaching has impacted someone else. What story epitomises the work you do that you're most proud of?
So I think it's really, really interesting. I love the word interesting, by the way. It covers up.
I can tell.
Synchronicity rocks. Literally today, I've been designing a new slide deck for my speaking academy, which is tomorrow.
Okay.
And the first image that I put up was of the photo of the first group that I'd done. And it was only in the start of the year. And of the 15 attendees, 7 have gone on to launch their own businesses.
Oh, great.
3 have gone on to be professional speakers, as in they get paid to speak.
Yeah.
And there's and a couple more have just had a lot of personal empowerment. They've made big life choices because there's something they felt confident in the power to do that. So for me, it's just basically empowering people to live a life on their terms. And I think that's the real kick that I get from working with people, is that, especially with the speaking academy stuff, because that's the thing we're afraid to do. I think I mentioned it just now, or at the start of the podcast, that Harvard did a study and public speaking was a bigger fear than death.
Yeah.
We worry and we get afraid of the fear of ridicule over and above dying.
I mean,
it's just nuts.
See, it's a weird one because I quite enjoy public speaking. I don't do it professionally. I do it through promoting the work we do. But certainly, I quite enjoy it. But as you say, most people are not fans of it. I think the interesting thing for me is that environment you've created in that room, that people instead they may come along to learn how to become more authentic storytellers, but they're making big life choices off the back of that environment, which they feel they can feel authentic. That's a massive thing, isn't it? Yeah, huge. What do you reckon the great?
Even from a sorry, Chris. Even from a business kind of or networking or sales point of view, if you can intertwine your personal story around your offering, service, product, whatever that may be, it provides you with a unique selling point nobody else on this planet has got.
Yeah. Your story is your story, right?
Yeah, definitely. But again, we're afraid of doing that in a business context because actually we don't show ourselves.
Yeah, you know what? I think part of my challenge is I'm a bit of an oversharer, Nick. So like any opportunity to talk about my girls or the podcast, which isn't related to the business at all, or anything else as opposed to like the day job, it's an interesting one. But I think. Interestingly, when we meet a lot of, and I don't know, you've probably got a bit of a broader experience than me. When we meet other financial planners and other financial services people more generally, there's an inclination that authentic isn't professional enough, and I think that's absolute nonsense. Do you know what I mean? You need to just, Yeah. But I think we've got in our sector, we've got a lot of work to do with that. Yeah,
define professional. The term means you get paid to do something.
Yeah.
Now you could. There's also something to be said. You could lose clients on the back of the stance you take on your brand.
Yeah,
but
true.
Actually, that's a stance that I was willing to take and still do. But the truth is, I've never lost a booking based on the fact that I wear cap and jeans.
Yeah.
But the narrative in me tells me that I would, because I was in an industry where I had to wear a suit every day.
Gotcha. But interestingly, I suppose if you are going to lose a client because of that, is it the right client anyway? Don't know. It's an interesting one, isn't it? What do you reckon the greatest miscomprehension about anxiety or OCD is?
Sorry, Chris, you repeat that. Just the line broke up.
So what's the greatest miscomprehension? What do people think they know about anxiety and OCD, but actually it's not true?
I think that there's, especially with OCD, there's a trivialization of it. So you've got programs like OCD cleaners and stuff, and people just say that they're a bit OCD. Doesn't quite work that way. You could be kind of highly attentive to something without being obsessive compulsive kind of thing. But I think generally, anxiety could be really kind of masked. I think that sometimes it's a nervous energy that drives us, and especially in the environment that you work in. It's the same with law. When I speak in kind of law firms in London and in capital cities and stuff, that it tends to be that kind of race to the bottom effect. It's the kind of like they who leaves first loses.
Okay. Yeah.
So actually, we're kind of encouraged to keep that, and actually, it's the anxiety, it's the stress levels that kind of really mount up to take on that burnout kind of breakdown thing that you see a lot happening in those environments.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Before we share with our listeners where they can find out a little bit more about you, one of the things we always do on the podcast is every week we have a question, and we are at episode. Well, look, by the time this goes out, we're probably going to be at episode 110 or 112. So we've got a lot of questions we've asked our listeners, and they range from the absolutely sublime to the completely ridiculous. So I just thought we'll have a little quick fire round, Nick, to ask you some of these questions. If you could be any character from one of your favourite books, who would you choose?
I'm a fan of Terry Pratchett.
Oh, so am I.
Well, High five.
Yeah.
I love the Discworld series of books. So for me, it would definitely be a character from there. I quite like Mort, the character in there. So maybe Mort, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Good Omens was an amazing book as well. You know, the one he did with Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. I remember starting to read Terry Pratchett as a I don't know, probably 15, and I've got all his books at home, and then I graduated to Douglas Adams, and then like graduated to Neil Gaiman, and just went through all those like fantasy comedic style books. Love it, absolutely love it.
Yeah, me too, Chris. Me too.
I did. Well, who's your favourite author now? What are you reading at the minute?
To be fair, it tends to be still, if I go to kind of, which is like non-personal development stuff, it tends to be Terry Pratchett is my go-to still.
Ah, yeah, still.
I end up rereading a lot of that stuff. To be honest, I don't read as much as I should. I end up taking the easy option and just like watching telly or something. So usually when I go on a holiday, I'll start to read stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think, I'm going to read loads when I get home, and then I put the Kindle away and never get it out again.
Yes, it comes out when you're by the pool. What movie? What movie inspires you the most?
Sorry.
What movie inspires you the most?
Oh, good question. There's two. The first one was As Good As It Gets.
Yeah.
Which is Jack Nicholson film about OCD, funnily enough, and it was about kind of how he lived his life around obsessive compulsive disorder. That's an interesting watch. So that's definitely on there. And there's another one. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's about the kit man in Stoke City.
Okay.
Wonderful. I think it's Wonderful. I'm not sure. Basically, like he was, and it's a true story. He was taken on by Lou Macari in Stoke City as the kit man, and he's basically going into kind of how he lives his life and his approach to things. Good watch.
Oh, cool. I'll take a look at that.
It's wonderful. I'll probably be found out on that, but there we go.
No, it's good. We have a bit of a weird experience on the podcast that the ones that we think are the most innocuous questions are always the most controversial. So I'm going to ask you two of those from the early days of the podcast. What's the world's best biscuit?
Biscuit?
Yep.
Chocolate hobnob.
Oh, you know what? I don't think we had that as an answer either. Chocolate hobnob. Okay, cool. And what's the world's greatest Muppet? Yeah.
I reckon Fozzie Bear.
Fozzie. Oh, interesting choice. Clearly wrong. I mean, it is animal, but I'll let you have one.
The animal.
Yeah.
Animal's always a favourite, right?
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you a couple more before we go. What you mentioned about sort of loving a bit of telly. What are you binging at the moment? What's your Netflix or iPlayer binge?
So I'm re-binging because I've binged on it a few times now. The Office, the American Office.
Ah, yeah. You know what? The American Office started off as a bit of a carbon copy, and then it went to a different level, didn't it?
It did, yeah. It went on for a lot longer. What I like, it went to each of the characters as opposed to stay with the main kind of
Yeah.
view. But I just think it's kind of like chicken soup for the soul. You can put it on, and it's just easy watching, and it's funny and stuff. And I quite like that.
I know.
The other thing I watch a lot is Family Guy.
Oh yeah, very good. You know, have you seen Afterlife, the new Ricky Gervais thing?
Yeah, well, I saw the first. I'm not sure if the second one's out, but I saw the first one.
Yeah.
But same as kind of the Up film, like kind of like burst out crying.
Oh, I tell you, yeah, that.
It's a really great show.
Yeah, I mean the writing in that is just absolutely amazing. What's your funniest travel story?
Oh, I think it's got to be. I I went away with my wife years ago on holiday. I think it was to Greece or something. Went to a water park. And as you've seen, I'm not a small guy. And I put myself onto one of those big inflatable rubber rings, and I was going down this like massive mountain rapid. Fell off halfway through. So the tyre came down into the pool. My wife wondered where I was, and I was bobbing up and down in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, love it. If you had complete control of time and money was unlimited, what would you spend most of your time doing? So if money was no object, what would you spend your time doing?
Good question. If money was not, I would definitely buy my club, Bristol Rovers.
Okay.
Just they need it for a start. But yeah, I'd love to just have some money just to go in and buy it out and just do it my way.
Yeah, as a proper fan, right? As somebody who how long have you been a supporter?
Proper fan, yeah, just basically do the things I think would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Rightly or wrongly.
Cool. And the last one, which is actually this week's question of the podcast, or it's going to be one coming up soon. What's your favourite song with a person's name in?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Good question I've got an answer to as well. See, I'm a big country music fan, so I'm really racking my brains now for somebody with maybe a bit of Jolene, Dolly Parton.
Look, you know what? I love that song. That is one of my favourite songs of all time. You know what? The weird thing is, I came home the other day, and Dolly Parton's got this new thing on Netflix called Dolly Parton's Heartstrings. Now, I haven't watched it. It's not really my bag, but Cassie was watching it when I came home the other day, and I was ready to write it off as just a little bit too sentimental for me, and then Jolene kicked in, and then I'm hooked, Nick. I'm there. I'm loving this, but yeah, that is certainly an amazing song. Well, how did you get into country and western?
My mum was a big country music fan.
Okay.
So growing up, if country music television had just come over to here on kind of like Sky or satellite, whatever it was then. And yeah, I just really got into it. And my idol's Garth Brooks. He's been doing it for a long time, obviously. So he's kind of he's my go-to kind of guy. But any country music, every year I go to London to the Country to Country Music Festival, see all the big acts come over from the US.
Amazing.
It's good fun.
Cool. And where can people find out a little bit more about you?
Very simply, so just go to nickelston.com, so that's NICKELSTON.com, and then all of my stuff and social links and everything else is on there.
Amazing. Thank you so much, mate. I've really enjoyed that.
Chris, thank you, mate. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me on.
So that was Nick's interview. Let's move to the end of the show. Tis the end
of another podcast.
Show. So it is the end of another show. But you know what we need to talk about? Chocolate! Because last week's question of the podcast was chocolate related. It was, what's your favourite chocolate or confectionery?
Chocolate limes.
No, nobody said chocolate limes because that is disgusting. But we did have quite a lot of people give us answers to this one. What do you reckon was the most popular answer?
Don't know, Galaxy. They have great variety of flavours. My favourite is their caramel.
Well, you know what we didn't talk about last week?
Hot
Kit
chocolate.
Kats in Japan. Because
Yes. Oh my god, matcha tea. I didn't really like the sake ones.
No.
But that's because I'm not a big fan of alcohol, like at all.
Yeah. So, the chocolate show was we got a lot of answers and a lot of comments on this one. So let me go through it. Mike Christie said dairy milk, the bigger the better.
Yes.
Johnny Piper said Toblerone, big one. I sense a theme. I sense a bit of a theme. Mike and Johnny.
More chocolate!
Chocolate! Mark O'Halloran said, I love a Kit Kat. Didn't say a big one, but I'm assuming he means that. Roberta White said, this is my kind of question. Anything chocolate, but I do love a Linda Gold. Judith Hitchins said, I can't have dairy, so right now it's either Bourneville Orange or the Galaxy Vegan range. I didn't realise they did a vegan range.
They do. They are very good with their variety.
Sarah Robinson loves a Star Bar, or an orange lint. Stevie Dan loves Stevie Dan from the gym. Steve from the gym. Hello, Steve from the gym.
Hey, Steve from the gym.
Loves a Galaxy. Tamsin Kane loves Maltesers. And then she's put, but I also love a Curly Whirly Squirly. Oh. I've never had a Curly Whirly Squirly.
You know what?
What's the difference between a Curly Whirly and a Curly Whirly Squirly?
I think the Curly Whirly Squirlies are the bigger ones.
Big. there is a general theme. Big chocolate.
You know what I just realised? No one's mentioned a Terry's chocolate orange yet.
No, not yet.
But that is generally a Christmas thing. So.
Mark Newman said it's a Cadbury Boost by a long, long way. Tracy Kincella said a dairy-free one for those of us with allergies. Sean Acton said Star Bar. Kamal said too many to choose from. Snickers, Maltesers, Aero, Dairy Milk, Galaxy After 8, to name a few. Why don't you just try narrowing it down a bit,
Just
Kamal?
go to the offie.
Just go run into Tesco's and go, chocolate! Sam Willis said, definitely a whole nut. Caroline Thompson said, Cadbury's giant, big again, chocolate buttons. Francis Barrett said, Milky Way Magic Stars or Crispy Rolls. What's a crispy roll? Or crispy M&Ms.
Do you know those, like, they're chocolate logs and they've got the little cream inside?
Oh, I know, yeah. John Cook said Maltesers with an honourable mention to the peanut butter chunky Kit Kat. That's a good choice. Becky Coe said Jelly Popping Candy Creations Dairy Milk. Heidi Ball said she loves seasonal chocolate, so Christmas trees and Easter bunnies. Doug Bennett said Revels. Al McCann said one answer, Whisper. I do love a Whisper. Daniel Searle said Ferrero Rocher. Now, I learnt a fact over the weekend. The man who makes Ferrero Rocher is the richest man in Italy.
He also makes Nutella.
He does. And Tic Tacs. And Kinder Eggs.
I like Tic Tacs.
Patrick Floyd said a picnic. And Amanda Smead said flake because it's quite sexy.
Good for you.
Well done, Andy. Whatever you do with your chocolates is up to you, mate. Carol Staunton said, and this is the only one I actually disagree with on the entire list, Turkish Delight. Don't like Turkish Delight. And on that note, my friends, and chocolate lovers out there, because there's quite a lot of you.
Good on you, mates!
'Tis truly the end. Go and enjoy some chocolate, and we'll see you next time.